What is up, everybody? Welcome back, trendsetters, I guess. It's been a while since we've done one of these. This is a special episode in the Spotlight, season 2, I guess. I don't know if we started season 2 or not of this, but we're gonna call it season 2. My name is Mark Goldstein. Here with me today, we have on the microphone, at least one of the microphones, is executive producer wife Luisa. Say hello, Luisa.
Hi.
And special guest with us today is a very good friend, a long friend, time friend of mine. I've known him since high school, and so
We've known him since high school.
We've known him since that's correct. I forget about that. My very good friend Michael. Hello, Michael.
Hola.
He is
How's it
also
going?
my very good friend. Boy.
I don't think so. There can only be one good friend in this room, and it's
This
me
is
and
the
Michael.
first time she's ever admitted that I am a very good friend, so I'll take it.
So today we are going to talk about the hit new show on Netflix, Squid Game. I do want to make sure that everybody is aware that we are definitely going to go into spoilers almost immediately into this show. So if you have not watched it, go ahead and watch it. We will say if we recommend it later, but I know if to follow this.
Should we start with a recommendation? That way they can, get, well, hey, yeah, let's recommend it, whether or not we would suggest
You know what?
watching
I'm
it.
just going to say, yeah, go ahead and watch it.
Okay.
Whether we truly recommend it or not, I think go ahead and watch it. Just because,
So you can keep up.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you can keep up. But yeah, just so you know, because we're gonna go into topics on this show, and then we'll get into spoilers. But what are your first thoughts on the show? Let's start with that.
Okay, so first I would say that I would actually totally recommend it.
Okay.
The only reason why I wouldn't recommend it if you really don't like gore, because it is pretty gory.
A little bit.
I didn't
But
think it
it's-
was that gory.
Okay. So there are parts that are gory.
Uh-huh.
But for the most part, I wouldn't say it's any worse than any other American primetime TV show. I mean, there are parts where you do see organs of people's body being harvested, but it's fairly brief,
Yeah, I think
and
we
it's
should.
in a couple episodes.
We should start with the premise of the show.
Okay, let's start. Yeah, so
Okay.
that'd be
What
perfect.
is Squid Game?
What is Squid Game? So Squid Game is a Korean TV show that if you are watching it on Netflix, for the most part, I think people, at least in America, would watch the dubbed version of it, which we will definitely get into
Oh, God.
here in a minute. But the premise is there are these every main character, or almost every main character in the show is in some sort of large, almost
Forgiving debt?
unforgiving debt. Yeah, right. I would say.
Yeah.
So this mysterious person kind of comes up to them to play a game of kind of almost Pogs in a way.
What is the name of that game?
These two colored squares, and basically you have to take one of the colors and throw it on the ground to hit the other colored square to flip it over. And if you can, you get some money, and then they hand you a card. You play it, and you get into this.
And
this
if
game, I
if you
guess.
don't, you get slapped. So it's kind of the first introduction.
Almost. You
Yeah.
either pay the guy some money, or he will slap you if you don't have the money. Usually the people that he's playing against don't have the money. Right. So these main characters all decide to join this game, which they have if I remember correctly, they have no idea what any of it is before joining, correct?
Nope, they have no idea.
I think the guy says, if you want more money, call this or something like that, right?
Yep. And then they all go on to this boat, basically. Or actually, they go into a car and don't know where they're going. And then they go to this special place, and they're just locked in this room. And that's whenever they discover, that they're going to be playing games. But they don't know that the games are going to be how they're played.
They're almost kidnapped in a way. They're willingly kidnapped. sort of. Like they all decide to go into the car and they get gas to be put asleep. So then they wake up into this giant room where they all have numbered track suits on, and they're all the same color.
And there are 456 people total. So it's a large amount of people stuck in this room.
The main character, his name is Guillaume, if I'm saying it correctly. I want to premise that we are probably going to very much butcher all these names.
And we apologize for that.
We do apologize for it. So we may, if we can't remember the names off the top of our heads, or if we can't fully pronounce it, we'll probably just describe the characters as they are in the show. And in the first episode, you do find out kind of how this game is played. There are 6 games that they all have to go through. And the way that they describe it is, if you're out, you get eliminated. Pretty simple idea, premise. But you quickly find out that elimination is you actually die. Like, they actually kill you. I would say that is the premise of the show. And as you go further into the game, you get a chance to win a lot more money. And I can't remember how much exactly it is in the show. I think it's like 40 or 4.6 billion won.
Yeah, which is 38.6 million in US dollars.
So it's a fair amount of money. It's a good amount of money.
I would play those games for like 50 cents. So I mean,
so that is the premise of the show. So let's get into
why do you think it became so popular?
So the reason why I believe this show became so popular is because of 3 different things. Thing number 1 is it's a young adult novel. It's set up exactly like every single young adult novel you ever read. You have the body government, you have a competition, and you have people dying for no reason.
Okay, so you actually bring this up. So if you really want to compare this to something, this is basically Korean Hunger Games, in a sense.
Which they also have a Korean Hunger Games called Death Games or something like that.
Okay.
And I don't remember the actual name of it off the top of my head, which I can find out pretty easily. But there is a show that Hunger Games was basically based off of, but the person who wrote Hunger Games claimed that they didn't base it off of it.
Yeah.
But it's a Japanese version of it. And they kidnap kids in high school and have them go to an island and kill each other.
Okay. Interesting.
So and there's 2 different movies of it, and they're both movies.
So basically, this is just a ripoff of a ripoff of a ripoff.
Kinda.
It's a storyline that didn't seem particularly original because there's been variations of that same theme of people being thrown somewhere, made to fight each other, and the end result is people start getting killed, literally killed, not just.
So this one feels more like an adult version of a young adult novel because they take out the love triangle that's always prevalent in the young adult novels.
Thank God.
Yes, I'm glad there isn't a drawn out love triangle. And this is the show. The season is actually fairly short. It's only 9 episodes, so they really don't have that much time to divert into anything. So,
but they have more time than like a movie, so that you can actually care about the characters, which was point number 3.
Right. Which one on a little bit of a side note. The director of the film in Korea, he's already done a lot of films, so he's very well known there. So it's not too much of a underdog story. That, this because apparently the guy he wrote this back in 2008. He had been shopping around the idea.
That's true. He had this idea for a while and had it written and done since like 2010.
Right, and it wasn't until now that Netflix kind of picked it up. I forgot what I was going to say. That's okay. Okay, Michael, keep going.
So the fact that it's a young adult novel, basically just an adult version of it, us as Americans, we love young adult novels, and anytime that one of those shows up, you have like the Hunger Games, you have Maze Runner, you have multiple different facets of the same storyline going through, so we love that premise. And then another thing that we love is competition. Because the fact that it's a competition and people can win, and all these people are very normal people, you can put yourself into the show better. Because you see this normal guy, who's the main character, able to go big, so type of thing, and you can actually feel that.
You bring up a point, and I kind of wanted to get into this later, but you brought up this point now, so I'm going to get into it. One of the things I actually did not like about the show is that I could not connect with them.
Oh boy, this was as we're watching it, Mark is literally upset. He's just like, that was their fucking problem.
Okay,
He's just
so
he's like, I do not feel bad for them.
So episode 1, the first game they play is red light, green light, and again, I hope you watched it, but if you're not familiar with red light, green light, someone says red light or green light and you try to walk towards them, they say red light, you have to freeze. And if you move, you're out. And in this case, you are eliminated and shot dead.
Yeah.
Okay. That's how they find out in the show what this really is. How much, so Luisa said there were 456 players in this, and you kind of know that a lot because the main character, that's his uniform number. So he was the last one to join. And out of the 456, the first game to finish almost or more than half die off. 201 are left. They decide there is a kind of a clause or a rule in the whole scheme of things that if the majority says we are done playing, they can vote and they are all sent home, but the money goes to the families of the families of the deceased who died in the first game or continuous. So the very first game, they don't know what they're getting themselves into. They have no idea. People die, that's horrible, and you do feel bad for them. In the second episode, they do decide to stop playing. They all it comes down to one person, right? Was it one vote?
Yes,
yeah,
it was one vote.
It was,
okay, so
they started off with what I consider the main character.
Yeah.
So he's the first one to vote, and then the last person is the old
man, yeah,
old guy,
whose name I will have to be brought back up for me to see, but he is the deciding factor, and he votes no. So they're all bound and gagged, and they all go back to Korea. Some plot happens, like they all kind of find out that their lives are really not that much better outside in the real world than in the games where they have a chance to win all this money, because like you kind of see all these other characters that were in the games, they all still have money issues.
Yeah, they get scared about playing the game because they realize they're gonna die, but once they're taken back to reality, they're in the same boat as before,
right.
And so they conclude, might as well try to get that money.
In a sense, yeah. So you find out all these characters decide to come back to play, to continue the game. For me, that's where
you lost sympathy.
I lost any empathy for them when the characters die. So like as the story progresses, these main characters, they do die off. I just did not feel bad for them. I couldn't feel bad for them because they all knew what was going to happen. So let's say the tug of war game, or no, even better, the marble game. So that was episode 4, the marble game.
Did you feel anything when people were dying? Were you like, oh, that's...
In episode 4 I did, for sure. Because episode 4, as you were talking about the marble game, there was a whole lot of emotion that went into it, and it built up into it. But I kind of get what you mean before that, though, because it's all like everybody chose this, and it's kind of like, well, you're probably going to die, so why should I invest into it? But that's actually not the point that I was getting at. The point I was getting at is all these games are games that anybody could play.
Sure, but your point was to go, you can root for this character.
No. My point was that you could see yourself playing this game and winning.
The everyday Joe.
The everyday Joe could come in and win these games, and
Mark
that's one of the things about. That was the thing about competition that I was saying that we love as a community, is that we love the competition, and that's the reason why football's huge, basketball's huge, and stuff like that.
See,
but
I think
you don't really follow
the
sports
reward is
movies.
not good enough for the risk. For me, watching this show, going the company like. Oops, I'm sorry, I hit the mic. Okay, in football, okay. Your poor Dolphins today. they lost by 3 points, but they're not dead, right?
Yeah,
in a sense.
But also
They
they're
should
not
be, Michael, though.
They're
They should
not,
be dead to you.
They should be dead. We should get rid of all of them. They need to go in the Hunger Games or the Squid Games. But no, the difference between that is that in football, I'm watching a team of superhumans playing a game that I would never be able to play as well as them. While this, you can watch somebody licking a thing of candy and being like, yeah, I could do that. I can lick candy.
Okay. So, I guess your point is that the games are fairly simple. There's one
kids
game
games.
that
I mean, they're
I
kids
was like,
games. We all
that's
play
true.
a variation
There was one
of
game.
it.
So the one game in there that I would completely disagree with was the glass game, the glass bridge game. I thought that was. I was like, what version of a kid game is this? So, okay, so let's go over the games. So you had tug of war, or not, I'm sorry, not tug of war. You had red light, green light first. What was the second game? Oh, the honeycomb.
Honeycomb?
You had to get the shape out of the honeycomb without breaking it. Then you had tug of war. You had the marble game, the glass bridge, and then the last one was Squid Game, which also, I don't know if that's a real game.
It is a real game.
Oh, okay.
It's a real children's game in Korea.
Okay.
Yes.
So that one makes sense. I just don't know what the glass bridge could possibly be.
Yeah,
hopscotch?
Maybe.
I just don't know.
That one was the biggest one that like threw me out of the whole thing. Was that one game just felt so out of sync with everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everything else like obvious kids game where you have some sort of a chance to win, and that one is like, oh, you have 50-50 shot.
And the other thing is the front man at the beginning.
So who's the front man? If we haven't seen it, or for people who just don't care to see it.
I'm sorry, some of you haven't seen the show. We are introduced not only to the players, but the players are taken to essentially what we realize is an island, and in that island there's the soldiers
who are in the red,
and they're all
jumpsuits.
in the red pink jumpsuit. There's 3 shapes that are just like repeated throughout the whole series, which is the square, the triangle, and the circle. I actually forget which.
So
there's like 3 levels.
Circles
the soldiers
are just like the main soldiers. The triangles, managers are the squares, so they're the top.
The next
people.
level.
No, it's so the top is square, middle is triangle, bottom is circle. Triangles. So I don't know if that ever played into anything, but triangle people are the only ones that ever carried away the bodies. And then the circles are the people who ever shot people. Okay. And then the squares are the people who kind of managed them. Yeah, so you kind of have like
the levels within the quote-unquote workers. You have the different levels of whatever. And then at the very top is the character they call the front man. He's the one that runs the place. He's
kind of the organizer.
The organizer. And then, which we might get to a little bit later, ultimately these games are played for the pleasure of what will be introduced as the VIPs. Okay. All right. Man, I forgot where I was going again. The front man. It's okay. I'll come
We
back.
were talking about the games. Oh, man, I don't even remember.
I am not good at this.
We were talking about the glass game. Does that help?
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm just. Anyways, so the front man at the beginning introduces sort of the rules of the game.
Yeah.
And I remember one episode he says we don't want to intervene with the games. We don't want the games to ever be unfair.
Oh, that is true.
And then when it came to this bridge game, which the bridge game is, there's 2 platforms with glass. One is glass, one is tempered glass.
Yeah.
And so you're supposed to select between either one. One will hold your weight. The other one, as soon as you step on it, you'll go down. Towards the end, he turns off. You realize that there's one player. He intervenes, which I'm like, that's unfair.
Yeah, that is true. So and there's actually a big point in this where you find out that there is a doctor character who is trying to get advantages, knowing what the next game is by, again, harvesting these organs. And that's like kind of a very
side
brief
note. Yeah.
very brief side note, kind of in this, to where if he does that, he gets to know what the next game is in advance. And basically they find out that he's doing that, and the front man kills him, and he kills the soldiers that were helping him, and he hangs them. And as people are walking towards the next game, they pass by it, and he mentions, this is like, everything is supposed to be fair and square in here.
And it wasn't fair that he knew the game in advance.
Right.
And then at the bridge game, he intervenes. Essentially turning off the lights, causing one character to no longer be able to determine whether...
Which I think that was why he intervened, was so that he couldn't tell which glass was which, and that was the whole point of the game, is that you're supposed to have 50-50 shot, and he was able to tell, so they're like, well, let's turn off the lights so that it is still a 50-50 shot.
I don't like it.
Well, and also... during the whole thing, they intervene the entire time. It's not equal at all.
Eventually, we find out why.
Yeah. And the front man has to say that it's equal so that the people playing the game can be like, oh, I actually have a chance to win and not die.
Okay. I see that.
So
okay.
I feel like that was a whole ruse and lie anyways, to trick people into actually playing the game more.
So, oh gosh, there are quite a number of characters that we still haven't even introduced. So when people come back after they vote to leave, and they decide to come back, while they're in Korea, the main character Gion, he goes to the cops and he tells them about what happened, and they don't believe him, obviously, because it sounds super crazy. There's a cop character, Jinho, I believe his name is, or Junho. His brother went missing years ago. Kind of sounds very meh, whatever, at first, but I forgot what happens. Oh, he goes to his brother's place and he sees the card that was given to these other characters, because Guillaume had brought it to the cop. He sees it there. He sees it at his brother's place, so he decides to sneak on to the boat with everybody. So now he is on the island, and he basically kills one of the soldiers and takes his place. So he's kind of infiltrated the place. Then we have kind of the old man character. He's sort of a big part of it. So he's actually player one. So he's kind of the first one, and he's the only old person out of everybody, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And for someone who's like that, he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, and he's introduced as saying that he has a tumor.
A tumor. Uh-huh.
So he's terminally ill. So he was like, I think it's introduced like that he's doing this for his family,
right?
So that they will have something after he's gone,
right? And then we had the front man. Am I missing anybody?
Yes. It turns out that one of the main character's best friends, or very close childhood friends, is also there.
Yes, okay.
The only person to ever go to college.
The only person to ever go to college.
It is brought up a lot that he went to this school
for business or something like that,
but it never plays out for anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the only reason it plays out is that everyone looks up to him for going to college or going to this prestigious school.
Yeah, because it's like, and they also kind of introduce his mom a little bit, and she's also really proud of him. So it's like
it's never
like finding out that you have a friend that went to Harvard, and then it turns out that he's like in a lot of that.
Right. In a way, it's like, hey, this guy went to this law school. Maybe that will come up in a game where he's gonna go. The law states in this, in your
Which
contract.
He kind of did. At some point, he kind of goes. One of the points is that if we all vote, we can get out.
Yeah, he was the original person that pointed that out in the very beginning, and that's why some of the people actually were able to go home. I was
thinking he was gonna be like, oh, there's gonna be some numbers game, and then it's gonna show that he was actually a real shit student or something like that.
He was so he went to school. He was an investor, and he mismanaged his
clients'
investments.
That's
he
true,
that's
how he got into.
Yeah, that's how he got into it. We have the old man. Then we have another young character. She was a North Korea defector.
Sebyok, I believe her name is.
Then we have the next character is a criminal
Gangster?
gangster. Shows that the guy is really shady.
Deoxu, if I can pronounce his name.
Deoxu?
Yeah,
Deoxu.
and he did wrong somebody in one of the gangs, and so they're looking for him. Then we have another character who I call the crazy lady. They never show a backstory for her.
I think she's a liar. I wonder if she's a liar.
Yeah,
She said something about her
She's
kid.
the child, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
she's
So,
like super dramatic. She's like, please
so
get me
I
out of
just
here.
had a
Begging
kid. I haven't even registered him, so he doesn't have a name. And then she comes back and she's like super batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but we never. She's the one character that once they stop playing the game, we kind of follow the life of the other ones a little bit. We're introduced a little bit to their backstory, but not hers.
And her name is Neo, I believe. Best guess I can.
You're
I can
doing
say
a lot better than how I would do. I'm missing one character here, but we are introduced to the character of Ali.
Ali, yep.
Ali, yes.
He's my
and
fave. I heard Ali.
Yeah, I think we all do. His background, I believe he was from Pakistan. They show his background as just being an immigrant in South Korea, and
But he was very poor. He came to Korea to find work, and
yeah, and they show that he has a wife and a daughter, and he pretty much works at a sweatshop, and the boss never paid him.
right.
And then the final character, a bit minor and introduced towards the end, but it's another young girl that's shown to also kind of have the teenage attitude of I don't really care about anything.
Yeah, Ji Young.
But though the role is minor, I think there's some stuff on her character a little bit that kind of plays an important part a little later in terms of social commentary.
Yeah, some of the best things the show does is with her character.
Yeah.
So all these characters. So and this is kind of just a little bit of I want to say trivia, but this does kind of show you the foreshadowing, I guess I should say, is that all these characters, the way you kind of see them go into the games and how they die, it was foreshadowed for the reason why they are in these games, I guess I should say.
Right.
So
Did you catch all that foreshadowing, Michael?
Oh yeah, there's this one of the biggest things that I loved about the show is that it's a masterclass in foreshadowing and prepping everything up, because everything is spelled out to a T while you're watching it. You just don't see it.
Yeah, I didn't catch any of it until after I was done playing the game. I went on Reddit and I was like, what?
So and it is interesting. So kind of going back to everybody having a fair chance at these games, and what Michael was kind of going on why it truly wasn't fair. We do find out that the old man, the number one, was behind everything.
He was the architect.
Yeah.
Of the
Okay.
games.
Yeah.
He created the games.
And so he never. I guess he did have a chance to die. Like, I don't know how they would have saved him if he had died in, let's say, the tug of war game.
So there's like little details, right?
Yeah, there's little details on it, which is actually kind of cool. Like, everybody else is chained to the rope. His
Yeah.
chains aren't locked.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
So-
didn't even notice that.
So if they were to lose, he could just let go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then with the red light, green light, whenever they highlight everybody else, you see the shadow of
Yes.
everybody else, but he's not even registering
And-
on the system.
Okay, so I did see that. Yeah.
At
yeah.
some point, we do find out the cop, as he's investigating this whole organization, we find out that it's been like 20 or 30 years in the making.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that the old man is the architect. He knows all these games very well. So in that first game, he knows the rhythm or the song that
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
playing. So he knows exactly when to stop. Then on the Marbles game, because one of the things is that he was fascinated with reliving the childhood games.
Yeah.
And with the Marvel games, you see him like to the side because he knew what was about to happen. And it got a little thrown off because the main character
Gion.
goes up to him and selects him to be his
Guillaume.
teammate.
Yeah.
And that kind of caused the old man to be like, wait, what? And it threw off the game a little bit, I think.
because there was an odd number, so
Yeah.
he was going to be setting out and not have to be selected into the games itself.
So see, I missed all that. I missed all that like the first time.
And then the biggest one.
Would it change your perspective of the show?
No.
Okay.
No. I still think the fact that they all went back on their own choosing is like that's it for you. Like you chose to go basically to your death.
Yeah.
I mean the fact that only one character could win is irrelevant to how I feel about every. I mean, you should know that. Okay, so I'm gonna go on a rant on this.
Oh, boy.
So
Sit
so
back.
the marble game. So the marble game is kind of a turning point because up to this point they do make you kind of choose your own team and you work with everybody. Then the marble game, you choose one partner and you find out that that partner is who you are playing against. So it's eliminating half the people.
Yeah, that one couple.
There is a husband and a wife, and they chose to be together for this game, and obviously one of them had to die, and the wife dies. And then he kind of goes a little crazy. I'm just like, both of you chose to come back. I had zero feeling for that. I might be a psychopath or a sociopath. I could not care. And then you had the religious guy who started
babbling.
I was just I was like, this is.
I forgot about the religious guy.
I
I forgot he existed.
I mean, you chose to go in this one. He's a hypocrite. That guy was a hypocrite, right? You can't. He was killing people, and now that it was coming closer to his time, I just could not care. So, is there anything that you guys didn't like about the show that like really took you out of it? Maybe.
Yeah. I actually have a big list of the,
Sure.
the things that I didn't
Here
really.
comes Michael's rant.
So, I love this show. I think it was one of the best shows that I watched this year. But also, at the same time, I think it's entirely overrated. Because everybody's raving about it, and I'm like, there's nothing new that is coming from it.
Right.
Every single C and D and B or F plot that comes up, I think has a terrible ending to it. I think the endings of all the subplots are bad.
Like what?
Crazy Eyes and Gangster. That ending.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of it
to
ended
the
how
end-
you thought it would end, but at the same time, it was like a.
To be fair, everyone's end is their death, and
Yeah, but
again, it was foreshadowed. But like, who cares?
yeah, that type of thing is who cares about that? The cop ending of that thing, it was kind of another.
So
meh.
So we'll get into that.
Yeah,
here in a
I want to
minute.
circle back to the cop ending. I want to circle back to that B plot, but a little bit later. Continue.
Yeah, all the plots that are not the main storyline, I thought just didn't end as well as they could have. They seem like afterthoughts of ending. Like, oh, we started this, we have to end it. We started this one, we have to end it. Oh, we started this one, we have to end this one.
I remember my thought from earlier.
Go ahead before you forget it.
Before I forget it, the script was originally meant to be a movie.
Mm-hmm.
When Netflix picked it up, they turned it into a series. They haven't signed up for season 2 yet, which at this point is like, it's pretty obvious they're going to, but they haven't done it yet. So maybe all that stuff might be related because it was meant to be a movie.
Yeah, and it is
I
possible
wonder.
that it's all meant to be a movie, and I actually really liked that they did a show instead of a movie, because that drawed everything out, so you could actually, if you're not a psychopath like Mark, you can actually care about these characters, because you see the reasons why they chose to go back into it. You saw that the main character's mother is dying and needs a whole lot of money, so he's going back into the games to save her life.
So I think Mark's upbringing, I just kind of wonder this because like he kept getting really upset. He's just like, I don't really care. Like he was just not caring about these people, and as I kept thinking about it, I wonder if his upbringing had something to do with it because you grew up in an okay home.
Yes.
Great parents.
Yeah.
Your dad worked really hard.
Yes.
Then you have to struggle. On my end, little old immigrant here from a quote unquote third world country. We struggle a lot. So I
I'd be a VIP. Let me say this. I'd be the VIP character.
For sure you would be the VIP character, like hands down. And I feel like our upbringing, I know Michael, like
I grew up poor.
Yeah, like we grew up poor, so I felt some sympathy.
I felt bad for the people who died in the first game when you don't know what you're getting yourself into. Like you go, this is
after
horrible.
They came back, you was like,
you had a choice. I don't know. They had a choice, right? You either, and to be fair, did the characters go back to doing what they had did before? So Guion, he was a gambler. That's how he got into debt. Was he gambling when he came back?
No.
Okay.
He literally got back, found his mother in the hospital.
Okay, that's right.
And then he was like, I need money to help pay for her surgery.
And also I need money so that I can keep my daughter from moving to America.
And all he did was go drink with his friend, right? He went to the bar to go drink.
He went
to the cops, and then he learned this other stuff. And
went to his ex-wife's house to ask for money. And he went to his best friend's to ask for money. So he was asking for money for the surgery. He was kind of...
Because he was super desperate.
Okay, so I'm going to sound very ignorant here for a second. But is the job market that bad in Korea?
That's the point of the game. And I think one of the popularities of the show in general and why it went so international and it broke through the American market is because we are still in the middle of COVID. Worldwide, though there is a need for jobs, they're still not quite there yet. And I know you didn't watch Parasite. Did you watch Parasite?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So even that movie had a lot of commentary on the class discrepancies, class systems. And I could relate to that because I came from Colombia, where also there's a huge gap. And then the gap here in the U.S. has been getting bigger and faster. And COVID has pushed it even more. So I think for a lot of people, they kind of saw themselves, and that's something that I think you were getting at earlier. Each character gave the ability for an audience to relate to something and relate to someone. And so this show very much is commenting on that gap between the rich and the poor and the economic issues of not being able to find a job or very low paying jobs. And in his case, he's a gambler. That didn't help. But it also show a little bit of his background that he used to be a worker. And they went on strike. And then they went on strike. Yes. They killed one of his friends. And they kind of fired him for doing that. And I think for some people might relate. Like, we just had the strike with the Southwest Airlines or things like that or people... COVID-related things. So people are just... I think that was one of the main appealing things about the show. One of the main reasons why, even though this director and writer had been, trying to shop it around for so long, and it wasn't until now that Netflix picked it up.
So, okay, well then let me ask you this. If you guys were put into this position, these games, and you knew that you would die if you lost... Let's say you do get that $38 million. Only one of you were to get it. And you knew you were going to die. Would you go back into these games?
I wouldn't, but that's also because I would fear that at some point it would not be a game of red light, green light, where I don't have a choice if somebody dies. Because I would assume that at some point they're going to make us fight or something.
I actually think that 38 million is nothing.
Oh,
that's a really low figure
for your death, right?
Yeah, for
your life
to walk around and be like, okay, I have 38 million, and after how many people died? 455 people died,
which we find out 454. We'll get into that.
But you know what I mean? Like that just feels like nothing. We just had a lottery not that long ago that was like 450
would you do the Texas lottery knowing that if you lost you would die?
Well, I mean, if I was doing the Texas lottery with only 456 people instead of... and it was the Texas lottery where they literally choose a number out of the hat, that's a little bit different than...
Okay, we are going to take a super quick break here. We're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit more about the ending and what we think is going to happen, and then we have a special little surprise.
I'm so glad you're here, Michael.
Oh, God.
We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody. So in this part here, we're going to kind of talk about a little bit of the second half of the show, and the ending of it, and then kind of maybe wrap up a little bit of the story here. And then I also have some 15 things that you might have missed during the show. We kind of did go over some of it earlier, but I'm going to pick out a few that I think are interesting. But let's finish up the story here. So we kind of talked about the main character, or not the main character, I'm sorry, the cop character coming into this and his missing brother. We do find out that that the front man is his brother, and that he was the winner of a previous Squid Game. And the two brothers confront each other. They do kind of see that
standoff.
Yeah, they do have a standoff, and the cop does get shot and he falls down a cliff. We don't really see his death.
Right. So my first question is, how important do you think that subplot was?
Well, I think what that subplot was trying to do was show that how they pick the front runners is that it used to be people that played the game, and so that they can kind of keep track of it. It's kind of leading up for Ji-hun to be the new front runner in like later seasons. That's kind of what it's feeling like it's trying to do, is that it somehow winning the game, they are able to manipulate the people into actually becoming the new front man. Not
Do you
runner.
remember what year the brother's name, the front man, his name is In-ho. Do you remember what year he won?
No, actually.
Because they were starting with so the year that they are participating in is 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like he won a few years before that. I don't think he won the 2019.
No, I think it was like he won
2015 or something.
15.
Yeah.
I don't know why that number just...
So if he was the winner then, or if it's supposed to be that every winner from the previous year goes to be the front man.
I don't think it's every year the person becomes the front man. I think what it is that the person like ends up going back to do something else, because at the very end he called in because nobody can reconcile that they won that sort of a crazy competition.
Okay.
And so they kind of go back into it, and then they get manipulated into being the front man.
Who do we think the workers are?
Well, we kind of saw they were young. They were very young people, and almost, early college or early 20s, I would say.
Like, do you think they were previous winners, or...
I don't think so. I think there was supposed
just-
to be. I think there was supposed to be some sort of social commentary on. It's the young people working and killing off the
old people.
The people who are,
or the middle aged.
Yeah.
The only theory that I kind of saw was at the beginning when they're in the train station to kind of get you to start the game. We see that one card is blue and one card is red.
Yeah.
I saw this briefly, that the theory is that if you choose the red card, then you're invited to be part of the organization.
So
did you guys come across that? Or
Yeah, I guess that's an interesting theory.
So
there's not too much that says one way, but I guess
it's actually really funny you bring that up. 'Cause the number one thing on this list here is all the players chose the blue tile with the salesman. We don't actually see that. The only real way we kind of think that or see that is at the very end. So the winner, obviously, of this round was Gi-hun, and he is in a train station again, and you do see the salesman at the beginning who got Gi-hun to join the game. He is playing against another character, and that character also chose blue. So we can assume that everybody chose the blue, but there's no real way of us
Also,
knowing that.
Just thinking about it, I don't think that would be a theory that holds up to be true, because you have the subplot of people harvesting organs.
Yes.
It seems like that they've been doing that for years.
Yes.
So, if they were doing a new set of people every single time, and any time somebody chose that, then they couldn't have had that underground ring set up and established.
Right.
So...
And we never really know why they're doing that. They said it was the Chinese that were going for it, but we never figure out exactly why they're doing it. I mean, except for money.
Yeah, it seems like they're just kind of doing
market,
it for...
which is, black market for organs, which is...
And then that one kind of ends in a meh.
That doesn't go
even more so than the characters dying off their plot.
Yeah.
Like that just kind of goes nowhere.
Yeah. They died off too.
They did die off too. The only thing that ever related to it was sort of a Deus Ex Machina, because the cop gets out using the same transportation as they do for the organs. He gets so
it's like a weird setup to allow him to escape and then get shot.
Okay, I really want to bring this up because I was laughing at this, but In-ho, the front man, looks like Asian Elon Musk.
Oh,
did you ever see that? Can we bring that up? Can you look that up real quick?
He kind of does. That's kind of crazy.
Every time we saw him without the mask, I was laughing at that. So and that kind of ends with
you see it?
So does.
You see it?
Yeah, like after Mark brought that up, I was like, I cannot unsee it.
I can't unsee it now.
It's really funny.
Elon Musk would totally do that.
Yeah, right, with Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, with Jeff Bezos.
So that introduces us to the VIPs.
So we also find out that these Squid Games are happening around the world. Worldwide. And it seems maybe it's like the powerhouse countries that are more or less doing it. But basically, we found out these VIP characters are all white Americans, and they all say, oh, the Korean versions are always the best ones, or something like that. And it's really funny because so let's talk about this real quick. So if you are watching it in America, if you're just kind of like you just want to watch it, you probably chose the dub version. So there are some translation issues, little like tiny little things that may also come up later, but the acting of it
was so bad.
It's pretty bad.
I thought it was spot on.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so the old lady, the old lady fish shop, money bags was the worst one. I thought
college guy's mom.
Yeah, college guy's mom. Yes. Like and like she's like this old broken down lady, and then it's like my voice coming out of her, and I was like, no,
like this young spry woman's voice.
Okay, so you're talking about the dubbing.
The dubbing.
Okay,
yeah.
I was thinking about the acting because I've heard criticism about the VIPs acting and their script, and I thought was fine.
Well, that's
the dubbing.
That whole point. Actually, so the VIPs dubbing and their acting, that was the worst whole thing. But maybe that's how other countries
VIPs
see
weren't dubbed.
America. They weren't?
No.
Oh, that's even worse.
They were English and French or whatever. They were like
speaking.
Even whenever you watch it, they don't even have subtitles.
Yeah.
Because they were in English the whole time.
Mark and I are old people. No matter what show we're watching, no matter what movie we're watching, we have subtitles on.
And it started because of
Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders. Oh my god, I couldn't. Like, the first 5 minutes, I was like, are they just grunting? I don't know what they're saying.
And I turned to you, I'm like, I have no idea what they're saying. And you looked at me, you're like, you think I do? So after that we put subtitles for everything.
Yeah, so we're old people.
So that's why we didn't notice.
Okay. So yeah, no, they're not dubbed.
Okay. Well, that's even worse. Is that that was awful. I think that's even awful. But
in translations like this, things will get lost in translations. I can tell you that growing up, I watched The Simpsons in Colombia.
Yeah.
And I was just like, meh. And it was not until I got here that I understood The Simpsons, because all the jokes just get watered down in translation.
Sure.
So that's, I'm sure that
I'm
happened
sure that
on
is
this.
part of it.
Yeah.
And we kind of have, it's another kind of little trivia that I'll bring up here in a second, but we did find out that there is a little bit of a translation issue going on that makes things a little bit more sense here in a second. So but the VIPs, they are just, I guess for us it's like if this was written in America, they'd be British or Russians, right? Or the Chinese.
Yeah, and
Uh-huh.
that was like people were criticizing. Yeah, people were criticizing that the script for the VIPs was really weak, but I just like I kept telling Mark, if in all your American movies the bad guys are Russian, they are Iranian, or they are Chinese, and they have the worst script. Why is that any different for a Korean film to give the Americans the worst script? And for the Americans to be the bad guys. But P.S. spoiler alert, you guys are the bad guys.
Wow.
Also, I don't think that they were all American.
No, I don't think so. I think
there
was
that
like
there
a
was just
French.
one big giant fat Texas person. I was like, yep, that's him. I've met him.
Yeah.
Oh, he's secretly gay. Perfect.
Made
They
total
were
sense.
making bets, but I don't feel like they had a point to this. If you left them out, it wouldn't have mattered, right?
Right. Was the introduction of the VIPs?
So it does matter because that's the reason for the games. They bet on random things, and that's how they get the money so they can continue on to play it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this would be a very not lucrative thing.
Industry.
I mean, it's already not great lucratively, but I mean,
Yeah, because if we're thinking about like each game, this is the other thing. How long do the games last? I guess 7 days. Because these characters
6 days.
6 days. Because when the characters originally go back to real life, nobody put this person's missing.
Right. The only
And after 7 days, like
most of them are kind of, well, not exactly deadbeat, but yes, they are kind of. I mean, they're
nobodies.
They're nobodies, right?
That own a lot of money.
The only person that you ever go, where have you been, was the cop because he didn't show up for work. But he did say, hey, I'm going to be gone for a little bit. Let's jump to kind of the surprise ending in a way.
All right, we're gonna take another break.
Oh no, not
No,
yet.
wait. Oh,
No, sorry, not that
Not
surprise.
that. I was
Sorry,
like-
not our surprise. With the old man, who we find out who he is.
yeah.
okay, so this was actually one of my biggest gripes about the whole
Sure,
show.
go ahead.
Was the old man. They did set up reasons why the old man would never die, like not having locks and knowing the games and having a way out for, if you don't play in a game, you don't get killed. But at the same time, it's the only old man there.
Yeah.
It's he's, something's up from the beginning because he's the only one there, which is also, this is part of the foreshadowing stuff. He's the only one there. Has all these different rules and stuff, but why would they let him play the game? Like, that makes no sense to me. Even if it's like, I'm trying to have fun and stuff, and then none of the VIPs knew who it was, so then they're like edging their own bets type of thing, and he's how am I trying to explain it? It doesn't make sense to me that they would allow him to keep playing.
But,
Okay, with the VIPs come in and they're all wearing masks. So first, I wonder if they actually knew what physically they each looked like.
Probably not.
Okay, so they might have not realized that the old
it
man
was
was.
sort of,
Yeah.
It was sort of the whole, but it kept with the premise of the show is that the ones who aren't playing, you're not supposed to know who they are.
But then at the same time, they've seen this for 20 years, and somehow they knew that there was a front man, but they've never met him before because he's always playing the game.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, it doesn't quite makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And maybe the next season might explain it or some other stuff, but in this current season, it just kind of threw me out that he was even really allowed in the game.
So,
but I mean, they explain why he was in the game.
Yeah, because he's just like, I'm
'cause
bored.
he was
I want to
bored,
play
right?
games.
Yeah, like each level of how much money you get and all this stuff. He just got bored and decided that he wanted to play the game, and he was literally the thing about the tumor was real. That was the only thing that we know for sure was real.
he just wanted something.
We
before
don't know that was real.
You think he didn't really die when they?
No, I don't think he did.
Oh.
I think that's another twist ending type thing that they could have thrown in, because he was able to watch the clock at the very end of the thing, so he could time exactly when he took the water from the guy, and maybe it's a 30-minute thing, and then things shut down, like a fake death.
Interesting.
And he's always playing another game.
That.
Michael theory over here. Okay.
But
Yeah.
he did lose the bet.
Yeah, but
So
he was gonna die no matter what.
I
So
actually feel like he died. That's my input.
I you know what? I will be.
I was intrigued by your theory. Let's bet on
So there,
this
but
next
okay, so
season. We're gonna find out.
There's another theory that the old man, is Gihon's father. This was a little.
Also, another one that you're like,
Maybe there are some similarities that we had to look up.
So the first one is that they're both allergic to milk, and the old man says my son was also allergic to milk.
interesting.
We're never introduced to his dad. This is him
Right.
and his mom, right? Nor does he ever mention if his dad is gone or anything like that. When the old man, there was one game where, well, the old man pretends like he's having
the
dementia.
Marble game.
And there's a bottle of water next to him, but anyways, he pretends like he peed himself. And
That way he can get out of the game.
yeah, and the main character gives him his jacket, which has 456 on it, and wraps it around so that he wouldn't be embarrassed.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the game, he does the same thing. He takes off his jacket, which has the number one, and puts it on him.
Yeah.
So that the machine or the guards think that he's the number one.
Or they know who to protect or something like that.
They know
I
who
really don't
not
know.
to shoot number one, because
Yeah.
we know based on other stuff in the show that number one can escape anything.
Yeah.
So that was the other part of that theory. And was there another thing?
So in the marble game, the old man, so where they play the game is set up like an old neighborhood, and the old man says, "Oh, this is where I used to grow up," and Gihon says, "Yes, this looks very familiar to where I grew up too."
Yeah. So they might have been from the same.
And then we kind of find out that, so there's a possibility that the old man was manipulating the games for Gihon to win.
Do you think it was true?
It makes sense.
I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, I don't know
I
believe that one.
There are some that you're like, I don't know how they would know. Like, and again, there are some kind of Deus Ex Machina stuff, like in red light, green light, Ali grabs him and holds him steady while he's mid fall.
Right?
It's like he must have super strength
I know.
to have done that, for him not to go with him. Let's see, what was the next game? The next game was the honeycomb. I don't know how he would have
Protected him from not breaking an umbrella.
Yeah.
Right. He had chosen the hardest shape to get out.
Yeah, which, by the way, his best friend. What an asshole.
Oh yeah.
Worst best friend ever.
Awful person. Tug of War. The only reason he really survived out was because of the old man had a strategy of how to win.
Yeah, but towards the end of that, the best friend actually stepped in because they were kind of losing, and he gave another let go and
again it's kind of Deus Ex Machina kind of
knows?
idea. The marble game, you don't see the old man die. Which, what was he gonna do if he watched him die, or if
Or if he was gonna stand there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
um,
So it just feels like it has too many holes in it for that to be a real theory. And again, if it's been running for 20 years, why would they choose this
this one.
this
be,
one
one.
Well,
to be
this
the one?
might
And
be the one where because he recently. I don't know. It doesn't really say how long ago he loses his family. Not loses his family, but he's divorced. He has a daughter. But it doesn't say how long ago he was divorced.
Yeah, they did. They said
Oh,
like
they-
3 years.
yeah, and
okay.
Yeah,
like
so it
if,
hadn't been that long.
if his dad really was like, yo, I want to give him a whole lot of money, let's have him come play in a death game. Maybe just be like, hey son, come join me in this death game while we watch together as father and son.
Maybe. But there, so we kept saying about this translation issue thing. We find out that one of the VIPs is the old man, but when all the American or all the white guys show up, they ask where the other one is, and the front man says he had some personal matters to take care of right before the bridge game. In the actual Korean,
Like the true translation would have been he has some family matters
to take care of, and we do kind of find out in the glass bridge game, it's better for you to be the last person to go, because then you know which one is the tempered glass, because all the other ones should have in theory broken before, so you know how to get across. And really out of nowhere, one of the characters, one of the last players, is like, I want to be number one. So there's a choice between going first or going last, and he doesn't know which one to do. This character comes in and goes, let me be number one. I want to prove myself.
I've never,
But-
yeah, like
yeah,
I've,
but we
I've
never
been a
kinda
loser
really-
all my life. Let me finally be brave.
Yeah, and we
You
never
remember
really
that?
find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like who does that right at that point?
Yeah,
It's like, okay.
yeah. So that
I-
could have been the old man's manipulation in some way. Who knows? We never really see that.
And what if the old man made it to that level? How would they get him out of that one? Well, I'm going to go last, but I can't make this jump.
That's true.
Yeah, no, I think in the Marvel,
would have.
I think because he knew the order of the games in the Marvel game, that's why he really was pretending to have,
To have-
amnesia.
well,
But
yeah.
my next question is season 2 predictions.
So at the end, so let's kind of go into that. At the end, Gihon, he doesn't do anything with the money. It shows like a year later he never really touches the money, and then he finds his father, or the old man. He catches back up with him, so he never really died at the end or in the marble game. And then he decides to take the money or start doing things with the money because he won the bet against him to see if there's humanity left in the world or something like that. And then he gets a haircut and he dyes his hair red, which I want to make the joke of, now for season 2 we know who the main character of the anime is. But what? Yeah. And so he is supposed to get on a plane and go see his daughter in America, where the family was supposed to have moved to. And he is in the train station on the way. He sees the people play the game, the salesman and
Right.
this other person play the game. And he goes up to them and he takes the card from the other player and he calls them. And he goes, stop doing it. I can't remember exactly what he says. But he basically says nobody should ever play this game again. But he kind of, in doing that, he does put himself back into the game.
Yeah, because the person on the other end of the line tells him, player 454 or whatever,
Yeah.
get on the plane, go see your family.
Yeah, go see your family.
So they knew what he was. They still follow him. They still
Mm-hmm.
know exactly what he's doing. They know how he's using the money. They know everything. And as he's heading towards get on the airplane, something stops him, and he turns around and
potentially goes back.
And
And that's kind of where it ends in
Yeah.
season 1.
So is he gonna destroy it from within?
So that's my predictions are, one, the cop's probably not dead. Because
Oh yeah, no. He gets shot he gets shot in like his left shoulder. There's no way he's dead. I mean, he does fall, but like again, we don't see his death. That's a huge thing. If you ever see somebody not die on screen, just assume they're not really dead until the story's over, right?
Yeah, that's especially with the old man type of thing.
Sure.
Another prediction is that we're going to learn in the second season how the front man is actually chosen, type of thing. And it's going to slowly show him being manipulated into being the front man, which I think is what happened to the cop's brother, is that he was manipulated into it. And then also I think the old man's still alive, but that's a crazy wild prediction.
So I think so there's an interesting little bit. So 201 players survive after the first one. They all decide to go away, and only 187 return, and the front man does say keep an eye on the ones that did not return. We don't really know who those characters are, if they did come back, or if we ever see them, but there could potentially be these characters outside going, I was there. And I think that's where the cop's going to come in. He's going to wash up back on shore of Korea and or the mainland, and he's going to find these people, and then there's something that's going to happen, but I don't know what Gi-hun's going to do. Right? They're going to put him back in the game.
I think he's going to go there, and then he's going to try to stop it,
cop or something like that.
He's going to try to stop it, and then he's going to discover that, like, if he joins in, he'll be able to stop it, and then he's going to rise up in the ranks or something, and then he'll end up being the front man trying to stop it, and then he'll end up causing the whole thing.
He'll become the thing he never wanted to be.
And it'll show that that's the exact same thing that happened to the cop's brother.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the cop's brother...
He's going to become the old man. Yeah. I think he's going to become the host.
What do you think's going to happen?
That? Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. No, I'm not particularly good at predicting shows. I like to be surprised. I just really don't know, but yeah.
Okay. So I never got to the list, so I'll do that here after the break. But we do have a little surprise, and we're going to come back with that. All right, welcome back, everybody. So we have a little surprise. We're going to get that here and ready. So while we do that, I am going to read a few of little trivia stuff here. So like I said, the first one was all the players chose the blue tile with the salesman, and they all became the players. I don't really know that. We don't really know that, but we'll assume that that's what happened.
That's an interesting theory.
There was some fairness in the games here. So it does say that all the games are hidden on the wall of the room that everyone sleeps in. This was interesting because I did not realize that at first. And when I went back, I did see why. But after the last game, after the glass bridge, when there was only 3 characters left, they all walked in. I thought they had drawn all the stuff on the wall as like a little surprise. But the reason they actually were there the whole entire time, the only reason you don't see it is because all the beds are covering the wall, and you never actually see it.
And that's actually one of the brilliant things about the show that I really like, to interject real fast, is because it's a big, huge, giant room with everything that they're going to be playing in the game on the walls, but you don't realize it until more people die, and so it's showing the emptiness of the room as it goes on, and then the more foreshadowing goes on. And the cool part is nobody in the show ever points it out.
That's true. And so that was part of the fairness. So before we find out that the old man is the architect behind it all, the cop, he goes into the room and he finds all these folders of all the previous players and all the previous winners, and the year starting with the one that they are in, player 1 is missing, and that's the old man. So that kind of gives a foreshadowing of he might be somebody else, but I never really noticed that to begin with.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Oh, there was one that's not on this list that I thought was interesting. So the girl who plays Se-byuk, the character from North Korea, this is actually her first acting job. She is a model. But this is her. From what I saw was that this was her first acting job. Yeah, she did really good.
Well.
That's kind of cool.
So that was interesting. The other interesting thing is that in the first game in Red Light Green Light, there are actually 456 players. Like there's no CGI. They actually got that amount of players to be in there. Let's see.
Ooh, also in Red Light Green Light, that statue is a real statue that's actually
that is true. They
and it lost a hand during the shooting of the movie and transporting.
Was that foreshadowed? I don't know. I don't see anything else on here that sounds interesting.
All right.
So we have a little surprise. So in front of you is a
Michael.
little red plate with something in a bag.
Go ahead.
Would you care to pick that up? There's a little toothpick.
Ooh.
Oh, what do you think
A little
it is?
toothpick. I'm already going to lose. I can't get it out of the bag. Oh, I got a heart.
Oh, you got the heart.
That's
we
not too
have
bad.
the little caramel.
Oh shit! I should have checked before I got these.
Oh, no.
Man!
I got.
All right,
Twitter
so
bird. Can we take a picture of this?
Honeycomb.
Yeah. Everybody take a picture of your honeycomb. So I found out here we're based in the DFW area, and in Carrollton there's a store called Korea Street Eats, and they are doing the honeycomb cookies. So you have to pre-order them. I found it on Instagram, and as soon as I saw it, I knew I wanted Michael to do this. Because just like the games, there are consequences.
Oh no, I don't even know.
So
Okay.
I don't know what they are. You know me. I like to play the long game. So when
we will get the generator out and we will connect them to your ball sack. So
Yes,
when we were
finally.
Mark and I were talking about doing this special episode, and I was like, we need to ask Michael, and Mark's like, maybe he's seen it. I'm like, oh, I'll make him see it. And then we asked you, and you're like, yeah, I've watched it. I was like, Perfect. Out of all the people in my life that I wanted to see do this. So what shape did you all get?
So what you get?
I got the heart.
You got a heart. I got. It kind of looks like a rubber duck. In a
I
sense.
did too. I messed up.
Man.
Okay.
All right.
What did you get?
I got the same
it
thing,
looks
like a little rubber.
It looks like a Twitter bird or rubber duck, like
Okay.
the shape of it. So, these are thicker than I would have thought, but I guess.
Well, I said, this is a legit Korea store. Like if you go there, they had really good food that I was like, I need to come back here.
So
what are
in the game? So real quick, in the game, you are given basically like a little sewing needle, and you're supposed to scratch out the outline of it to get the shape out of it without breaking it. We have little toothpicks. So in the game, we cannot cheat in the sense like they did. One of the characters had a lighter, and they heated up the lighter to
melt it
to make it easier to
get it out. So what strategy are you going with?
So
but then okay, so the other one is the guy licked the back of it to make it easier to remove. I don't know if that's going to help.
So that might actually help.
Okay.
But if you were in a life or death situation where you had to do this, and you were given a tin can, what you need to do is you need to fill that tin can with as much liquids as possible of any sort that you have. That way it will melt anything in there. So it's like spitting in it, it's crying
oh my God,
in it.
Would you pee on it?
Peeing on it.
I feel like Michael would do that.
If it was a life or death situation, I would totally pee on that.
But let me tell you, I would not feel bad for you if you were in that situation and you went back to it. That's my whole. Okay, no, sorry.
Yeah, it'll be in the tin can. I'll pee on it. It'll crack because of the pee or something, and I'll be like, damn.
Yeah, but does it count if the shape gets dissolved?
Which.
Yes,
the first
it's
part will
supposed to
get
be.
dissolved will be the frame of it, and then you could throw it into the dirt to get all the liquid off of it if you needed to.
This is not going to work. Oh my. Okay, so I'm sorry you're going to hear some sounds here. Oh, this is.
Oh man.
We're all Michael and I are like lifting it and looking at it so the light will hit it and we know exactly where to go.
Yeah, because going from the back end is probably better than from the front end.
Yeah, and Michael is going with the licking the toothpaste system.
Toothpaste?
Toothpick.
because you want the liquid is actually going to help dissolve the sugar in it faster, which will make it so that it's easier to
so
get through.
So here's another. Oh, you already lost. Oh no.
Oh, they wish shot me.
So
oh,
in the
Oh, I'm so sad. This is what's supposed to happen to Michael. How can I?
In an interview, I think I saw that say the character Sebyok, or the real person who plays her, she broke the thing quite a number of times, and she was like, I can't do it. Like, I'd be so screwed.
Stupid duck. I should have shaken I thought they were gonna give me all hearts, and I should have given this one to Michael. Now I'm upset.
What's there's one more in there, right?
Yes, there's one more.
What's that one?
I wasn't sure if we were gonna have a live audience today.
Oh, that was supposed to be. Okay, can we talk about that real quick? Last night, we were celebrating our friend Caitlin's birthday and
Intern Ted's
birthday, and we all went out to dinner, and one side of the table was just purely cursed. I mean,
oh my god!
I mean, for real cursed.
I almost had to cancel.
So
so
it started out by Michael's wife Amanda. She had gotten a drink, and I had gotten a drink, and we were sitting next to each other.
That's right.
And I picked up my drink, and I went to go sit it down, and they had put like a garnish on her drink that stuck out, and I hit that, and it made her drink spill. And that was the first thing.
That was sign number one.
That was sign number
Foreshadowing number one.
Things to come.
Can you recall some stuff? Because I'm very
focused.
No, it broke.
It's all up to
I was
me.
doing so well.
How bad? Let's see.
Like the bullshit little tail.
Oh yeah, that's what happened to me. Like that little tail just came right off.
I can't believe that. All right, let me see if I can keep going with this.
Oh, I tried, and then the beak came off.
Oh, fuck. I'm okay. All right, they shot me twice now.
Okay. The Goldsteins would we would not have made it. Do you think we would have made it through game one?
No. Game one maybe.
Oh no, I'm not a runner. I would have been like, I just shot me to here.
Well, they had quite a good number of times. If you just walk, I mean, the whole reason was they were freaking out.
Yeah, and they started running backwards. What you should do is you should walk and then go over towards the left side of it. Of the place, because most people won't be near the wall, and so if you start walking towards the wall and start walking forward, you'll have less people in your way, because that's most likely how you're gonna get screwed, is that somebody will be in front of you that's walking too slow, and you have to try to move out of the way.
Pretty good, actually. You know, it's
sugar.
It's just caramel. It's just kind
it's melted sugar.
It's
How are you doing,
like
Michael?
marzipan.
How far are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good, I think. Everything's sticky.
It is a very sticky.
So that happened, and then.
Oh, back to the dinner thing.
Yeah. What happened next?
I don't remember if this happened after. No, I think the next thing was the big thing.
Oh man. Yeah. So then the next thing is that Amanda was legit choking.
And all of us were like, Michael thought that maybe she ate something spicy, and he was sitting right next to her, and he's just like, "Are you okay?" And Mark's like, "Something seems off." And I looked at her and immediately saw that she took her hands up to her neck, and I said, "Oh, she's choking." And I was sitting across from her. I got up. Did you get up?
Yes, and
I pushed you. I pushed a lot of people.
Pushed me
I
out of the
pushed
way.
you out of the way because I was already
too slow.
Yeah, I was already on my way.
Hero of the night.
I was already on my way, and Michael was like, "I guess she's choking," and he was like about to grab her. I just pushed her. I was like, too slow, and I just turned her around, and I did the.
Oh, Michael! No.
Oh man!
I tried doing a different technique, but it didn't work. That is. It was a lot.
That is hard.
It was hard. That I thought it was gonna be a lot thinner, but back to the story really quick. So I pushed everybody out of the way, and I did the
Heimlich maneuver
on her, and that helped this lodge.
Yes.
The very
So
huge
she's okay. Thankfully, she's okay.
And,
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and then they
Sure.
Yeah, maybe.
yeah.
I don't know. I left.
And so I saved her life.
Yeah.
I'm sending her an invoice today
Yeah.
that I've already prepared because I don't save lives for free. Okay, like I need to get paid.
So it was actually foreshadowing. Is that
It's foreshadowing.
She almost died on food, and now that you broke your food, you will die, Michael.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anyways, she came back. She was okay. And then shortly after, our friend spilled her drink, and then
Spilled
her
her
daughter immediately spilled her drink, and we cleaned that up. And then Michael and I started making a joke, and Michael was going to pretend like he was
to
flip
flip
the
the
table,
flip the table.
and instead he flipped a steak knife.
And it flew through the air.
So needless to say, we're not invited back to that restaurant.
We're not. And then shortly after, the waitress comes to take our plates.
Oh.
A young, nice lady. And she's picking up our plates, and I don't even know what happened to her, but she
Just
dropped
everything.
Oh, yeah.
From that side of the table.
from
Yeah,
our
it
side of the
was-
table. And she just looks, she's like so apologetic. She's
been
like,
a
I'm
long
sorry.
day."
It's been a long day. We're like, it's
I'm
okay.
like, everything bad just kind of happened within the
Within
last, like,
seconds,
30 minutes.
30 minutes. It was hilarious. But thank you, Michael. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh,
This
yeah.
was really good, and I'm sad that I would have totally peed on it.
Do you feel like if you could really it's funny because you just went to the bathroom during the break. You could have saved it, Michael. You could-
Don't worry, guys, I got this.
But
We're getting
you
a new
had
studio.
water in front of you. Like, you could have used...
Well, I was assuming we were gonna go for like, yeah, sure, I could.
He's going to try it.
Let's see. Does it actually do anything? I think it's too hard to do anything right now.
It is very hard. Well, that's what
I think the saliva and the friction is like what helped.
which that does help too.
Yeah.
But that's the reason why you would want to have it
Oh.
there soaking in it, and like to
Yeah.
show the tin on the screen that we had. But the saliva and stuff helps dissolve it, and that's why spit and urine would help better because it has more than just what water would have in it. It has more stuff that could dissolve the sugars.
That is true. Does it do anything? Does it help?
That's not...
Yeah,
I'm like eating this. This is actually pretty good. Okay.
It does help. And so what I did first is I licked all over it so that there would be
Oh.
saliva on it to help start dissolving it
Yeah.
while I was working away at it. But then I got impatient and started eating it. That's where my downfall
we
was.
didn't have time.
Yeah.
There was no time for this.
Yeah, they're kind of on the screen, kind of showing it. But anyways,
Anywho.
But
all
yeah.
right. Well,
See,
I
It's already working.
kind of working.
Kinda working.
Thanks for making a mess.
You're welcome. It's what we do apparently. The Gibsons.
Well, I know. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I know there's a bunch we did not talk about, and it's kind of everywhere. But real quick, I think I would recommend this show. I think it's still good, even though, like we said earlier, it's nothing innovative in a way. But I still think it's a good enough show to watch. What
yeah,
do you think?
if you like thrillers, this might be
Yeah, suspense.
suspense.
This is definitely
a
suspenseful.
good show.
Mm-hmm.
There's a section of you out there that should definitely not watch the show.
No,
You know who you are.
Michael, what do you think? Oh, yeah, okay.
It worked out pretty well.
Worked
Okay,
out.
good job.
Michael's pee method may have.
May have
It would have
saved
saved
him.
me.
What do you think? Recommend?
Oh,
Not
I would
recommend?
totally 100% recommendation. Give it a recommendation if it's just for the fact that it is a masterclass in foreshadowing, set design, concept is kind of meh. But I mean, everything else about it is really good. The cinematography in the actual show itself
Yeah.
is
Oh, that's
amazing.
also very good. Yes, and then
So-
I would say to get the story, watch it first with the dub, and then go back and actually enjoy everything the actual Korean actors acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure is way better. So, but before we go, Michael, you want to plug anything? You want to anything where
Yeah,
anyone
so
can
if
find
you
you?
want to see me talk about random stuff, like I watch a lot of movies and things, and I'll sometimes tweet about them. So if you want to, you can follow me at Orgeron, Orgeron, KITT, KITT, at the Twitters, and then I also have a YouTube channel where I play the Minecraft stuff, and you can find me there at Orgeron KITT as well. Orgeron is Orgeron.
Nice.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking about Squid
I'm all
Games.
sticky now.
I know.
All right,
And,
let's end that there.
and again, this is a Hey Keep Up, a special spotlight episode. In the spotlight. I don't know. This is your job. And our host, Adrian, is not here. She's the best at, like, plugging our stuff. But hold on, let me see if I can channel Adrian.
Okay, go ahead.
Wow!
Wow! Can you do an Adrian?
Wow!
If you want to follow us,
it's at Hey Keep Up
podcast on
Facebook.
On
Facebook and Instagram at Hey Keep Up Podcast, except for Twitter, which is at the Hey Keep Up Pod.
You know what? Everything's in the description below. That's where you can truly find us. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.